Do you need some quick meal ideas that are healthy but don't compromise on taste? Coming up, I'm going to show you a salmon meal that will do just that. Hey, Kenya here, and welcome to Forever Newlywed, where the goal is to engage, inform, and impact newly married women. This video is the first in a series I'll have which includes meals that look and taste appetizing and don't take a long time to cook. Today's quick meal is salmon with yellow rice and broccoli. Quick background, I am a secret cooker. I love to cook, but for a long time, no one knew it but me. I knew in the back of a few people's minds, they thought Louis was gonna starve under my watch. And I'll admit it, it was a bit intimidating to think I'd have to be consistent and cook and create meals that I wanted my husband to love. But I figured out pretty quickly that he enjoyed my cooking, ate multiple servings, had no issue with leftovers, and left the meal choices up to me. So really, don't worry, gals. Most guys are not measuring a good meal by how long it took you to cook it. Now, some of you may not love or even like to cook, or maybe you don't know how. Take it easy. Cooking in its most basic form is following instructions. If you can follow instructions, I'm sure you'll make out just fine. So, I'm going to get started. Let's get this done in 35 minutes before Louis gets home. Okay, so we're gonna get our salmon together first. Girls, do you see this thing? This is mad salmon for only $13. I got it from Lidl. All right, so once we get this very large salmon out of the package, I'm gonna go ahead and lightly clean it. Okay, so this is a lot of salmon for just 2 people. So normally what I do is I go ahead and I cut the salmon down a little bit in size. What I do with the excess piece of salmon, package it in a freezer bag so that we can have some for later. Awesome. So now that we have our salmon out of the package, we're gonna go ahead and use our extra virgin olive oil to layer on the bottom of the pan. Okay, you wanna get a good amount on there, pretty much to cover the whole bottom. I like to use olive oil because it's a little bit more healthy, but some people use butter. You can melt butter and use that for the bottom of the pan as well. Now, before you put the salmon in, you're gonna go ahead and put a small amount of salt into the pan. As well as black pepper. All right. Now we're ready to put the salmon into the pan. Now, before we go any further, we're gonna rinse our hands and go ahead and put the rice to boil and the broccoli, get that started. The rice, since it's just me and Louis, I usually cook 2 cups of rice and boil it in 4 cups of water. So if you're doing 3 cups of rice, you'd boil 6 cups of water, so on and so forth. We're gonna go ahead, put our rice down here, turn our rice water on, high as we can. Okay. I usually put a little bit of salt. I also put a little bit of the virgin olive oil in the water. While we get that water in a good place to boil, we're going to get our broccoli chops. Okay, it's a lot easier, a lot faster to cook broccoli that's already packaged. So you put your broccoli in first so that you can go ahead and fill it with some water. go ahead and do the same two things, which is put some salt. Okay, we're gonna also get the olive oil in there. While you're here, you also want to turn on your oven. I'm gonna set it to bake. With your salmon, you want it to be very well seasoned. Salmon cooks quick, but you want the flavors to stay in the salmon. So now that we have the salmon in the pan, we can go ahead and put a little more olive oil over the top of the salmon. We do have a bit of lemon here, so we're gonna squeeze a little bit of lemon juice over the top. If you don't have an actual lemon, you can also use lemon juice. It's okay, it'll taste just the same. So from here, we're gonna go ahead and do a little bit more salt on the top of the salmon. Nothing too crazy. Okay, just make sure that it covers the entire salmon. Okay, because we are gonna put a few other salt-based seasonings on. Next, we're gonna go ahead and use some of that black pepper. Next, I love to use Sazon. Okay, there are 3 different kinds. For your meat, you're gonna go ahead and use the red pack. Next, we're gonna use some Old Bay. Old Bay is amazing for any kind of seafood-based food. Next, we are gonna use a little bit of seasoning salt. Again, nothing too crazy, not a lot. Next, we're gonna get some basil leaves in there, some really good basil leaves. Last but not least, this is a personal preference. I really love red pepper flakes. I love hot food, but I can't go crazy because Lewis is not as enthusiastic about hot food as I am. Okay, so that's literally all you're gonna put on. Okay, so next, we're gonna go ahead. We already had some onions that we have cut up. Spread it around the salmon. Okay, so we're also gonna take some of these lemon slices and we're gonna place them around the salmon. Okay, I try to put them in the corners because I already put lemon juice over top of this. That's everything we need for the salmon. So we're gonna bring it over to the oven with us because I hear the water boiling. All right, so our salmon's looking good. We're gonna go ahead and place it inside the oven. So now we're gonna go ahead and set our timer. And some people have a timer in their oven. You put it on your phone for 25 minutes. Go ahead and start that. And that's also about the same amount of time that you need for your rice to cook. So when you're pouring in your 2 cups of rice, you're gonna go ahead and pour and stir at the same time. Okay, so you're gonna get that stirring. You're gonna keep the water boiling while you're going to grab your ingredients for the rice. So you're gonna go ahead and use 2 packs of yellow Sazon for your yellow rice. And again, you're gonna pour and stir. I'm gonna use some Goya Adobo. Get that added flavor. I'm gonna use oregano. some of that black pepper in there. Alright, if you have any other flavor preferences, you can go ahead and put those in now. But it's important that you go ahead and you turn down your stovetop. Okay, you're going to turn it down to low. And then you're going to take your cover and cover up your rice. And you're literally not going to touch this rice until it's done in 20 minutes. Your timer's already going. Next, you want to go ahead and tend to your broccoli. It's been cooking, cooking for a little while, but broccoli does take a little bit more to season. And we don't want it to be too hard and crunchy, but you also don't want it to be soggy. So, go ahead, get some of that salt in there. Okay, next we're gonna go ahead and use some more sazon, the white sazon. Okay, and again, I use 2 because vegetables require a lot of flavor, make them taste good. Okay, and some of the same seasoning you're using for the rice. So we need a little black pepper. Okay, this time we're going to use some garlic powder. And our old faithful crushed pepper. Again, this is a preference. Some of that seasoning salt. Similar to the rice, we're gonna go ahead and turn this down a little bit to about 2 because it's on a smaller burner. Okay, go ahead and we're gonna cover up our broccoli. And since the broccoli's been cooking the whole time, 17 minutes or so is going to be perfect enough for it to be cooked. All right, ladies, we are back. We're back. It's 25 minutes later. Let's go ahead and check on this salmon. All right, moment of truth. Oh, I see already it looks good. All right, look at that. So salmon looks good. Let's just take a peek at the broccoli. All right, we're gonna go ahead and check on the rice. All right, so steam is what cooks rice. And an old test that someone taught me is to go ahead and stick your utensil in there, and if it stays up straight, it is done. Last thing we're gonna do, parsley flakes are a great way to garnish your dish. It's basically to make it look fancy. So go ahead, grab this awesome looking salmon. Don't want to mess up the countertops. And we're gonna set it down here so we can go ahead and start making our plates. Yes, we did that. Done in 35 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any suggestions for quick meals you'd like to see, let me know in the comments. Also, if you have variations of this meal, I want to hear it. Lastly, if you need assistance, for example, you're not sure about measurements or how much to use, send me an email at info@forevernewlywed.com. As always, I appreciate you, Newlies. I'll catch you next week right here on Forever Newlywed.